Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Middleton Common Council. Today is June 4th, 2024. It is 7:31. First up is call to order.
Roll call. Schaefer.
Here.
Madden.
Here.
Kalish.
Here.
Mayor Kuhn.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Haniro.
Here.
Lorman.
Here.
Crow.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you for that roll call. Up next is proclamations, and we're starting with the proclamation honoring Dr. Kenneth Potter's longtime service to the City of Middleton on the Water Resources Management Commission and the Stormwater Utility Board. Can Dr. Kenneth Potter come to the front? Because he's here. Yes. Make sure. Fantastic.
You want to talk first or you want to? Okay, I want to. Good evening. My name is Jim Bachhuber. I serve on the Stormwater Water Resource Commission and Stormwater Utility Board. I'm here on behalf of Ken Potter also, but Warren Giebert, who is the chair of that commission. Warren unfortunately could not be here tonight. He did write a statement up, which he's asked me to read, and I'm very happy to do that for him. And if you'll just allow me, Warren's statements. The mission of Middleton's Water Resource Management Committee is to assist the city in protecting and enhancing the water resources of Middleton. With Ken's knowledge and expertise in hydrology, soils, stream flow dynamics, channel morphology, and geology, the water resources of Middleton have been protected and improved over the past 45 years that Ken has been a member of the Water Resource Management Commission and 10 years with the Stormwater Utility Board. One of the best things this is Warren, has done as chairman of WRMC is to convince Ken to join the committee. At that time, Ken was a resident of Middleton, but he soon moved to Madison, but continued to serve even though he was no longer a resident. During Ken's tenure, he provided valuable insight and guidance in developing Middleton's stormwater ordinance and stormwater utility. The ordinance broke new ground and was used as a prototype for future ordinances developed by other cities and counties in Wisconsin. When the 1918 flood, on the 2018, Ken wasn't around that long, sorry. 2018. When the 2018 flood severely damaged the Pheasant Branch, Ken's background in stream flow, hydraulics, and channel morphology provided valuable advice and guidance during many committee meetings and field reviews, leading to a successful restoration of Pheasant Branch. During his 45 years of service, more than 140 flood control, infiltration, and water quality structures have been constructed in Middleton, leading to a reduction in peak floods, as well as 60% reduction in sediment pollution and 30% reduction in phosphorus pollution to the Pheasant Branch and into the Conservancy and subsequently Lake Mendota. One of Ken's many strong points was during the approval process of many of these structures by the committee. He was a strong voice in questioning and challenging the design to ensure conformance with the ordinance. It's been enjoyable and a pleasure to serve with you, Ken. And that comes from me also, by the way, and Warren. During the past 45 years, you'll be missed by me and Warren and the rest of the city. Good luck in the future, Ken, and please stay in touch with all of us. You'll always be an emeritus member of our committee. So, thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to talk for 30 minutes. Everybody ready? No, I want to express my gratitude to have been recruited over 40 years ago to be on this committee. I learned a lot of practical things that I could bring to the classroom, and I did. And Warren Giebert was a great leader. This was really a highlight in my career, was to be able to be on this commission and to do the challenges. And it's I'm just so proud to be here tonight and to let you know that, and to So thank you.
Well, thank you. I have the honor to read your proclamation, but after those speeches, I don't know if we need much more. It's fabulous, and we're so lucky to have you. But I'm going to go ahead and read this. Whereas Kenneth Potter has faithfully and honorably served the City of Middleton and the Water Resources Management Commission for the past 45 years, 1979 to 2024, and whereas Kenneth Potter helped to create the city's stormwater utility and then faithfully and honorably served on the city's stormwater utility board from its inception in 2014 until 2023. And whereas over the years, the city has relied on Dr. Potter's extensive breadth of knowledge as a professor of civil and environmental engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and his valuable insight across a wide range of water resources management issues. And whereas Dr. Potter helped to create the city's first erosion control and stormwater management ordinance in 1979, reportedly the first of its kind in the state of Wisconsin, and during the following decades worked to update the ordinance to ensure the city remained at the leading edge of municipal stormwater management. And whereas during his service, Dr. Potter has been an indispensable voice in helping the study, plan, and implement the City of Middleton's water resources and stormwater management systems and facilities, and to craft and revise policies and ordinances to ensure the protection and restoration of the city and the region's water resources. And whereas, although we will miss his presence at Water Resources Management Commission and Stormwater Utility Board meetings, Dr. Potter is always welcome to share his insights at the newly formed Water Resources Management and Stormwater Utility Commission, Common Council, and other city meetings, or provide comments through other means. And whereas Dr. Kenneth Potter's service has played an important role in ensuring our city continues to be a model community for Dane County, for Wisconsin, and for the country. Now, therefore, I, Emily Kuhn, Mayor of the City of Middleton, Wisconsin, along with the Middleton Common Council, do hereby proclaim, honor, and commend Dr. Kenneth Potter for his distinguished tenure of public service to our community spanning nearly 5 decades. The City of Middleton is fortunate that Dr. Kenneth Potter has served this community so as to leave an enduring legacy of success. On this, the 4th of June, 2024, on behalf of all residents of the City of Middleton, I extend our thanks and our best wishes for Dr. Kenneth Potter's continued well-being and his valuable service to our city. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on the 4th day of June, 2024. Is there a motion?
This is an arrow. I'd like to move approval.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the proclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So come forward, take a picture.
I've never done this before.
Okay, well, here, first we'll shake. And then we'll share. This is the proclamation. And this is the
Oh, that's great.
beautiful.
Oh,
So 3 years of service. And it's for so it's done.
Jerry?
Flip around, so I feel,
Good, I might have questions. Have you
will.
seen the waters? The flood waters are coming.
yeah, well, these.
I'll be
call on
hollering.
me, okay, yeah.
There you go. And I'll have you all on speed dial.
I've got his number, don't worry.
Okay, I'll call you then. That's great. Okay. Moving on is the proclamation commending Gabrielle Hinahara on her service as director of the Middleton Youth Center. And if I remember correctly, the Parks Director is going to help me possibly. someone else help us?
Yes.
That would be fantastic. In that case,
Yes.
carry on.
I'll read the proclamation, but
Excellent.
if you wanted to say something beforehand.
Yes, I just wanted to say congratulations to you and thank you for all you've done for the city of Middleton and the youth. It's been an honor to work with you and it's been a privilege to get to know you a little bit more and have you a part of my team. And we're really proud of everything that you've accomplished and excited for your future. So hopefully you come back and visit us and the youth and the Middleton.
I'll have you on speed dial too. Don't worry if there's things. Somebody. Somebody.
And does Gabrielle want to say anything or?
I did not have anything prepared. I am coming to visit the youth for the last day of school. So that'll be my first day back since I left. So that's exciting. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't here that long ago. I really appreciate all the support the city has given the youth center over all the years that I ran it. And really proud that John is its new director. And yeah, I just really appreciate you taking the time to do this proclamation too. Thanks.
Okay. Before I start, I'll just say it's really an honor for me to be reading this. This shows you how small the world is and the community is because my daughter's now 22 years old. So when she was 12 years old, she was at the youth center. And at that and throughout my life, these years with my daughter, raising her, as a single parent, I think I just want to point out really the pivotal role that a youth center plays in the community and how she thrived and to this day has now graduated from the University of Wisconsin La Crosse and has a sense of community service and will be in AmeriCorps. So
That's great.
little things make a big difference. And to that end, it really is an honor for me to read the following proclamation honoring Gabrielle Hinahara for her years of service to the Middleton Youth Center. Whereas it is with great esteem and gratitude that we recognize the exceptional tenure and dedicated service of Gabrielle Hinahara as she departs from her role as director of the Youth Center after more than 10 years. And whereas Gabrielle Hinahara has served with unwavering commitment and passion, demonstrating exemplary leadership and timeless devotion to the well-being and enrichment of the youth within our community. And whereas under Gabrielle Hinahara's guidance, the Youth Center has flourished into a beacon of inspiration and empowerment, providing a nurturing environment where young minds are encouraged to thrive, explore, and reach their fullest potential. And whereas Gabrielle Hinahara has exhibited extraordinary vision and innovation, implementing programs and initiatives that have positively impacted the lives of countless youth, fostering a culture of inclusivity, creativity, and personal growth. And whereas Gabrielle Hinahara has been a steadfast advocate for the Youth Center, timelessly championing their needs and aspirations and service as a mentor, confidant, and role model to all who have had the privilege of crossing paths with her. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and common council do hereby proclaim and express our most profound appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to Gabrielle Hinahara for her outstanding contributions and unwavering dedication to the youth of our community. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on the 4th day of June, 2024. Signed, Mayor Emily Kuhn.
Is there a motion?
This is Jackson. I make a motion that we approve this proclamation.
Is there a second?
Laura Mennel, second.
Any comments?
May I? Middle school is tough. It's just a difficult time, right? Kids are too young for some programs and too old for others. And I know for myself as a single parent, it was tough to figure out, hey, what are we going to do with this crazy in between time? And I want to take a minute to personally express my gratefulness to the Middleton Youth Center and to you in particular. My kids would come home from the youth center every day after school and in the summer, and say, Miss Gabby this, Miss Gabby this, Miss Gabby this. You were such an amazing influence on them. And for me, being able to balance what I need to do for work and raising my family as a single mom and making sure that my kids were given some guidance outside was just really special. And I want to say thank you. They would be here too, but it's finals week. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I got to study.
Good for them.
Gabrielle, oh, you're awesome. I want to thank you for taking me on a tour around the world. I went to the tour that you guys did with the children, and it was awesome. I know about you through my daughter. She goes to Cromrie Middle School, and I already spoke to John because every day she would come on, why am I not in that program? Why? I said, you're going to get in the program. But during the tour, I came across, I got to taste all kinds of food from different cuisines, but I got to stop at a table. There was a Guyana woman from Africa, Guyana mother, and she had what's called sorrel. It's a hibiscus tea that I used to always drink in New York. And I went to the table, I said, oh my God, sorrel? She said, yes. So she gave me a little cup. She said, well, too many people are not drinking it here. And she gave me a 5-gallon to take home with me. She said, just bring my jug back. I said, I'm coming to this every year. I'm telling you, you have made an impact. Even though my daughter wasn't in the youth center, she was part of the youth center. I heard about it every day. And the world tour, I always wanted to travel the world. You gave me that opportunity. So keep up the good work. John, I'm in your face. You'll be seeing me.
Well, it sounds like all of us will have to check that out next year. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so all those in favor of approving the proclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously, and if you
Yeah. There you go.
You can stay up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
Okay, number 3 is the proclamation recognizing June as Pride Month. And I'm asking Alder Nelson to help me.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. I'm going to read the proclamation proclaiming June is Pride Month 2024. Whereas the City of Middleton is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming community for all residents, regardless of race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic. And whereas Pride Month is celebrated annually in June to honor the LGBTQIA plus community and commemorate the Stonewall riots of 1969, which sparked the modern LGBTQIA plus rights movement. And whereas the LGBTQIA plus community in Middleton has made significant contributions to the cultural, economic, and social fabric of our city, enriching our community with diversity, creativity, and resilience. And whereas Pride Month serves as an opportunity for all Middleton residents to celebrate and affirm the rights and dignity of the LGBTQIA plus individuals, promoting understanding, acceptance, and equality for all. And whereas, with the support of leaders in the community, LGBTQIA plus individuals and ally volunteers and the City of Middleton's Community Development Authority, Middleton is hosting its first ever Pride celebration on June 8th, 2024 at Stonehorse Green to bring together Middleton's LGBTQIA plus residents and allies to celebrate love, diversity, and belonging. And whereas, despite the progress that's been made in advancing LGBTQIA plus rights, discrimination and prejudice still exist and persist, and it is incumbent upon all of us to continue advocating for justice and equality for all members of our community. And whereas, by recognizing and celebrating Pride Month, the City of Middleton reaffirms its commitment to building a city where everyone feels safe, valued, and respected, and where diversity is embraced as a source of strength and vitality. Now, therefore, we, the Middleton Common Council, along with Emily Kuhn, Mayor of the City of Middleton, do hereby proclaim June 2024 as Pride Month in Middleton, and we urge all residents to join in celebrating the diversity of our community and to stand in solidarity with our LGBTQIA+ friends, family members, neighbors, and colleagues. Be it further resolved that in recognition of Pride Month, the Mayor and Common Council authorize the display of the Pride flag on the City Hall flagpole for the month of June, with the U.S. flag taking precedence. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on June 4th, 2024. Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve this proclamation.
Is there a second?
This is Madden, I'll second.
Any comments?
I have a comment. The Middleton Pride team, I'll call them, it's not an official committee. I'm very proud of all of the efforts that went into getting this brand new event off the ground. So I hope everyone can come out and enjoy it on Saturday.
All those in favor of approving the proclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And I'm going to ask if we can do a picture and request retired Alder Cole to come up to receive the proclamation. That's okay. Okay, let's go. Sorry about the cords.
One, two, three.
Okay, with that, we're going to step back and do public comments. So thanks
Oh,
to everyone's patience.
Madam.
Oh, one more. I'm
Mayor.
so sorry. Thank you. Last proclamation is celebrating June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth in the city of Middleton. And I'm asking Alder Jackson to assist me.
Whereas Juneteenth commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States, and whereas this historic day celebrates freedom, equality, and the ongoing journey towards justice for all, and whereas the city of Middleton recognizes the significance of Juneteenth in our nation's history and its importance in acknowledging the struggles and achievements of African Americans, and whereas we honor the resilience, strength, and contributions of the African American community to our city, state, and nation, and whereas it is fitting that we join together as a community to observe Juneteenth and reflect upon its meaning to promote understanding, healing, and unity among all people. Now, therefore, I, Emily Kuhn, Mayor of Middleton, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2024, and every subsequent June 19th as Juneteenth in the city of Middleton. I urge all residents to commemorate this day with reflection, education, and acts of service that promote equality and justice for all. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on the 4th day of June, 2024.
Is there a motion to approve?
Norman will make a motion that we accept the proclamation declaring June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth.
Is there a second?
Schaefer will second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the proclamation celebrating Juneteenth in the city of Middleton, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Do you want to go to a picture?
Sure.
Go to a picture. We're doing all pictures. So
Everybody's.
all of the- And reverting back to public comments. So thank you for your patience. We're going to start with the slow driving community campaign and ask Brian Gatto, our city administrator, to come talk.
Thank you. On behalf of Sergeant Jessica Kwame and the Middleton Police Department, I was asked to just provide you with a little bit of information on a campaign that the police department is doing out in the community about slowing down drivers. And I've got signs for you to take after the council meeting, just for the audience benefit. When I talk about the signs. Slow down sign. So this is from the police department. As school wraps up and kids head out for summer activities, help protect them from speeding drivers. Help us discourage speeding during a campaign, not only this week, but in the weeks to come, as we join with other agencies across Dane County to conduct increased speed enforcement. You can help by putting a slow down yard sign at your home or business. Pick up one or more of 2 available versions, either at the school or the police department has a couple of additional signs available for community to pick up as well. The Slow Down campaign is a county-wide collaborative effort between your local police department, community, and neighborhood groups promoting safer driving, safer communities all across Madison and Dane County. So we've got one sign for all the council members if you are willing and able to put that in your front yard to help get the word out.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to add that they distributed over 90 signs last week. The local police and its Sergeant Kwame, is that accurate? She did an outstanding job collaborating with the school district. You know, us working together is so important. But over 90 signs in a week is outstanding. And so we wanted to make sure that our councilmen also had an opportunity to have the signs. And so we can all help slow down speeding and make our communities safer for walkers and bikers. So thank you for that to the city administrator. Next, our request to speak is Jennifer Cole. So you have, please state your name and address.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Kuhn, Council President Nelson, and council members. It's a pleasure to see you all this evening. My name is Jennifer Cole. I live at 2156 Allen Boulevard. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here on behalf of the dedicated and passionate team of LGBTQ plus ally volunteers and community organizations who are leading the efforts to hold this year's first ever Middleton LGBTQ plus Pride event to express our appreciation for your support. You all are invited to join us this Saturday, June 8th, beginning at noon at Stonehorse Green for a family-friendly event to bring together Middleton's LGBTQ plus residents and allies to celebrate love, diversity, and belonging. I would really like to express thanks to Mayor Kuhn and Alder Nelson for your work on the planning team and your tremendous allyship. The way you show up and support and care for Middleton's LGBTQ plus community is awesome and deeply appreciated. I'm grateful for your commitment to ensuring that Middleton is a safe and welcoming place for all residents to belong and be their authentic selves. And next, I would like to share the event team's appreciation for the amazing city staff that have provided kind guidance as we navigated the process to celebrate Pride this year. Thank you all. We are grateful for the city's Community Development Authority for being an official sponsor of the event, and we are thrilled that with the CDA's support, we can be out and proud in such a beautiful place like Stonehorse Green in our city center. And lastly, the Pride team thanks you, the City Council, for your support of this year's proclamation designating June 2024 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month and flying the Pride flag. So on behalf of the Pride team, I bring a gift of the Progress Pride flag to the City of Middleton, and we appreciate that you will fly it in support and solidarity to send a message to all people, regardless of who they love or how they identify, that they are welcome in our community to live, work, play, and raise a family free from fear and discrimination. And again, we hope that you all join us on Saturday afternoon. Thank you.
All right, is there anybody online?
I do not see anybody with their virtual hand up
Okay, great.
online.
Thank you so much. And moving on to approval of consent agenda as my apologies. There was a public comment and I forgot. So please go ahead.
I just wanted to make a public comment. I'll try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Following the storm a couple weeks ago, this was kind of the first big storm since I've been a council member. I mean, we've had various storms obviously over the last 2-3 years. And I found that I was very worried about how things were going in my district. And I was up kind of late Tuesday night. I think I sent a text to the mayor at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But I wanted to commend the city actually for all that they did throughout that night. And I wanted to list different agencies that I noticed over Tuesday and Wednesday of the storm. When I finally got home after our council meeting, I met a police officer on Highway Q who was blocking traffic and not letting me get into my neighborhood because power lines were down. She was standing out there in the rain and the storm, directing traffic and telling people to turn around. As I went in a different entrance into my neighborhood, a fire truck was pulling out. So they were done there, but they had been there also. So to our emergency services who were out during the storm, probably throughout the night, I appreciate everything that they did. When I walked in my neighborhood the next morning, I came across Kevin Short, who's our assistant parks director. He was out in our neighborhood looking at trees that had fallen down and told me that he was basically surveying to see what all the different damage was. So our parks department was out. And I know that people were out in the conservancy and in the parks as well doing work. I heard afterwards that the city got lots of phone calls on Wednesday. Some things that they couldn't control, some things that had to do with MG&E and power outages. But thanks to all of the city staff at City Hall who were doing things to inform people. During 2018, I was not on listserv and I don't know what all notices went out, but there were tons of notices that went out Wednesday about the different services that were available, about how city crews would be out cleaning stuff up. So thanks to Brian and Brent for getting notices out to citizens who had signed up. And I encourage all citizens to get on listserv because that probably would have answered lots of questions for people. Wednesday morning, I also stopped in the library. I had a question for Jocelyn, not related to storm, but talked to her about having the library open, the senior center open, police department, city hall, different places where people who didn't have power could go to charge phones, to do whatever they needed to do, to have some power if they didn't have power. So thanks to all of those areas that were open for citizens too. So the city did a lot. And I haven't even mentioned really the work crews who have been out since then, since the storm, still working on cleaning up the debris and stuff. So city has done quite a bit, and I'm proud to be part of the council. And I hope people realize how much the city has worked over the last couple of weeks during the storm, after the storm, clean up and continues to work. So thank you.
Not bad, 3.5 minutes.
Thank you. That was very kind, Alder Crow, and I'm sure the rest of council feels the same, and it was very eloquent. I know your district was hit hard. So many were, but thank you for sharing that. Thank you to our staff, of course. Any other public comments before I go on? Okay, we're good. Approval of consent agenda as recommended to council by committee, commission, board. The motions to approve?
Madam Chair, I would like to move approval, but to pull items 4, 5, and 7 for discussion.
Okay, is there a second?
Ormel, second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent consent agenda for items 1, 2, 3, and 6. Please,
Yes.
please say, oh, wait, is
No,
there
you're
any
right.
comments? I should probably say first, any comments on 1, 2, 3, and 6? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 6, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On the topic of the consent agenda, item number 4.
Madam Chair, this is Saniro. I move that we approve the agreement with Adaptive Restoration for planning services for Conservancy Lands Plan Update contingent upon city attorney review and approval for option A at a cost of $48,000 with $11,500 to be funded through general contingency contingent on council approval of a budget amendment.
Is there a second?
Norman, second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving consent agenda item number 4 as noted, agreement with Adaptive Restoration for Planning Services for Conservancy Lands Plan Update, looking at option number 1 at $48,000. At $48,000, which the $11,500 differential would be on the budget amendment as noted previously. Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consent agenda item number 5, cell leases on water towers.
This is an IRO. I move approval of the Verizon lease, subject to common council approval of a figure to include in section 3E for the rent value of each antenna beyond 9, with a few minor edits to be made to the exhibits.
Is there a second?
Norman, second.
Any comments?
Discussion, we need to figure out what to put in section 3E. It has been recommended, a figure of $500 has been put in, but there is really no basis. We have no reason for picking $500 other than it was in there and Verizon said, okay. And whatever this cell tower lease will be, or cell lease will be, it's going to, for the other 2 carriers that use our, that lease space on our water towers, they will have the same contract.
So this again is just for any antennas beyond 9, and the planning commission, I'm sorry, the city council could pick another number if you so chose, and we could bring that back to the carriers and see if that's acceptable to them. That what we had talked about in finance committee was, maybe that number 700 or 900, maybe 1,000. So the council can pick a number and we can go back and see if that's can be acceptable.
Can I just say, I know this has been going on for a long time. And I'm saying that because I think it said 2.5 years ago, but it feels like it's been 5+ years we've been discussing this. So I just want us all to be cautious because if it's moving forward, sometimes that's a good thing. If we can get 500 more, always better. However, if you end up paying more money in, say, attorney fees as you're negotiating or you're going back and forth, please keep the holistic approach in mind. But I do appreciate you asking that question, Alder Haniro, because, I don't know if that number was intentional. I saw Alder Jackson and I think another one.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll piggyback off of what Alder Hanara said. I think we came to the conclusion because when it was presented to us, when the 500 got put out there, they just jumped on it real quick. Like they was getting a deal. So we said, well, we'll bring it to the council and see if we want to stay at 5 or go up a little bit and then have them talk us down. But it was just a quick reaction of how when we threw 5 out there, they just ran with it.
Can I ask, Brian, do you remember what some of the carriers used to pay? Because it strikes me that one was paying Thank you, Sean. I see you walking, so he might remember. One was paying like 40% of what another one was paying. So just getting us in alignment is doing better. It doesn't mean it's right, but can you maybe help me
I think
remember?
they're pretty wildly disparate. I think two of our carriers were paying something in the ballpark of $17,000 and one was actually higher than this amount.
Yeah,
And,
that's what
and part of our
strikes
goal
me.
was to get them all on the same basis. It's relatively the same real estate. In fact, two of them are identical. So I wasn't too worried about $500 in the context of $35,000. Frankly, it's a pretty significant step up for Verizon, and we spent a lot of time talking about that.
So I maybe we should also consider that staff time involved. I do appreciate that because going from 17,000 to, is it 30?
I think 35 to
Thank you.
start. Yeah.
It's-
So from that perspective, they were thinking like, gee, that just doubled on us.
Doubled on
They're
us.
not wrong. They were just, I think, undervalued.
I think there was another comment.
And just a kind of a clarifying question. The 500 is per year. It's basically added to the annual rent. Is that right?
It would be part of that rent, correct. So instead of 35, they'd be paying 35.5.
Okay.
If they have that 10th antenna.
Extra.
And part of it is that 10th antenna is a microwave dish. So it's a really small antenna compared to some of their other radio antennas that are sort of these long, thin rectangles that are strapped onto the water towers.
Okay.
These are 1 foot diameter circular dishes. And so part of our discussion was, how are they valued the same? The real estate, the weight, all of that is just different. I think there are valid points to be made either way. It's still carrying traffic. That's got some value. But again, I just think in the scale of things, I would hesitate to spend too much time worrying about the $500.
Alder Schaefer and then Alder Kalish.
Yeah, you partly answered the question, which if you get 9 antennas for 35,000, that would mean for the 10th one, you should pay another 2,000 or 3,000 by math standards, because the amount of traffic in the 10th one, it's a smaller dish, but it may be just as much traffic. So and just the 500 seems small to me compared to the 3,500 for 9.
Yeah, part of our discussion started there with just prorating it, divide one number by another number. Part of the counterpoint is there's a land lease, for part of their housing. There are cables that are run up the side of the water tower. None of that stuff really changes with the addition of one incremental antenna. So, yeah, but it's in the same shroud. So, I think there are fair points to make that incremental add isn't the same necessarily as whether they show up or don't show up. It's 9 being the base, and then there's some incremental add, right? It's probably unfair to say it's $3,000, which again was my starting position based on council input.
Yeah.
But I agree with their point that that's not realistic.
Alder Kalish.
Yeah, I don't have a preference on the 500 or higher, but it sounds like there was some thought or concern that it could potentially, we could potentially charge more. And so if this council wanted to offer additional flexibility for staff in their negotiations with these, with Verizon, we could put wording in here that says something to the effect of an amount not to exceed $1,000. Then that gives staff flexibility to work within that. Just a thought.
It's fine with me. I don't know either that they're going to take all their stuff down and walk away for the $500 incremental difference. I think there was pushback on the $3,000. They wanted something closer to 0. We threw a number in so that we could continue talking about the rest of the terms, knowing that we'd have to come back to the council for this one number. And we finally got to the point where this is down to one number. So while it felt like 5 years to you, it felt like 5 years to me.
It really did, because I was worried we might have worse service, because part of what I have to think about is there are dead zones in parts of, say, Madison when I go places. And, if we upset the folks that have the antennas, we might have worse service for the whole city, right? And so I'm not saying you need to play ball, but at the same time, they're willing to double how much they pay. Just keep it in mind. They're already getting to 30, 35. Okay.
Sean, do you need us to make it clear that it's not just approval of the Verizon lease, but approval of that lease as a model for the other two?
Well, that was the direction already given by a previous council, is that we wanted to get these on the same terms. And they gave me a whole bullet list of things to include in those terms. And so we started negotiating with Verizon, number one, because that lease had already expired. In the meantime, another one has, and one will in a couple of years. But we've also been telling the other two carriers, these are the terms we're negotiating. And at some fine point, we're going to show up expecting you to sign these terms too. And some of them said, I'll believe it when I see it. When you give me a signed copy with their ink on it, then it'll be real. And I tried telling them as gently but consistently as I could, this is happening. So, but yes, that's the intention.
Okay, but those other two leases will still come to us.
Yes,
Yeah.
when they're in final form, but it should be a fill in the blank kind of thing, like put their name in instead of somebody else's.
Okay. Members, how do you feel about 500 or 1,000 or up to 1,000?
I sort of like the up to 1,000 and leave some wiggle room. I think.
And I'm there too. I agree with Alder Schaefer and what Alder College said. Maybe reword it that cap it off at $1,000. That way, if the city wants to go back and adjust, then we have that wiggle room.
Could we see the section? And Matt, do you have an opinion on the wording?
Well, it's probably just as important to know it's 500 a floor or.
Fair point.
I'm sure Sean would be happy to go even higher than $1,000 if he thought he could get it, but.
Well, that's where we started.
What we need to know is, do we want at least a
He said.
certain amount?
I guess, do we need it clarified in the lease to say it's going to be this amount rather than, and they can say, well, you said up to 1,000, so that could mean $25.
Well, we need a number. Yeah, we need a number.
You need a specific number.
Yeah, I think what I was hearing is that they were giving staff some leeway to work with, in this case, Verizon, but the others as well, to see if we could get more than 500 up to 1,000. So our negotiating position would start at 1,000.
So we should change it to say 1,000.
Yes.
Well, the flip side is if they say, could we settle on 800? Do you want me to come back here or do you want me to ink it?
I think Alder Schaefer is trying to support your flexibility in the negotiation. Brian, can you help me with that language? I know I've heard that before. It's like a motion to direct staff to, how did we say
Yeah,
that?
it would be to authorize staff to finalize and execute the agreement and then provide guidance on what that number, with an amount, between 1,000 and 500 based upon negotiations, something along those lines.
Is that your motion?
It is, just like that.
Excellent, excellent motion. All right. Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second that.
All those any comments? All those in favor of approving consent agenda number 5, cell leases on water towers? Can you help me with
Yeah,
that?
just Madam Mayor, just for clarification purposes, this motion is an amendment to the original motion. So this is establishing that we're on section E here on the screen, where it's highlighted in orange. We would be authorizing staff to negotiate the execution of this lease with a rent amount negotiated between $500 and $1,000 based upon the negotiated outcome.
Excellent. So we're voting on the amendment. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
And this would be giving authorization to staff to conduct those negotiations.
Excellent. All those in favor of approving that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is approved. And then going back to the base, which is the approval of consent agenda number 5, cell leases on water towers. Is there a motion to approve?
We have a motion on the floor for that. It would be as amended.
Okay.
And motion made by Hanairo and Lorman.
Any comments? All those in favor of approving those cell leases on water towers, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for that, and thank you for the explanation.
Madam Mayor, just for clarity, so Sean doesn't have to come back to us.
Accurate.
Okay.
We are always trying to streamline processes, so great work, everybody. All right. Moving on to number 7, consent agenda number 7, agreement for professional services for Middleton Community Campus Plan expanded scope with Short Elliott Hendrickson.
Madam Chair, this is Hanairo. I move approval contingent on council approval of the budget amendment in resolution 2024-26.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson, I second.
Any comments? All those in favor of approving consent agenda number 7, agreement for professional services for Middleton Community Campus Plan with Short Elliott Hendrickson, including the budget.
Contingent on council approval of the budget amendment in resolution 2024-26.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to miscellaneous, trash and recycling, cart eligibility for solid waste collection. Sean, I might need you up front to give us a little feedback.
Yeah, an issue came up. We're starting to build more condominiums up in Red Tail Ridge in particular. And so a question came up as to whether and to what degree we should be issuing trash and recycling carts to some of those condominiums. And it's something that I think has been interpreted a couple different ways by a couple different staff over the years. We started this in 2010. It hasn't come up a lot, which is maybe fortunate, but the way that the ordinance is written is a little bit open in terms of it talking about a number of sets of carts, right? So a trash and recycling cart per unit for most things other than residential. If it's 1 to 4 unit residential, then it's like 1 to 4 carts per property. And that could mean per property as in a taxable parcel, or it could mean, per the way I've been interpreting it, per building, habitable structure effectively. And in terms of condos, that matters. So if we have a building with many, many condominium units within it, each of which has a parcel ID and could be considered a property from that perspective, we could have many sets of carts associated with that one building, all trying to line the street on garbage day. On the flip side, if we assume that a property is a surveyable parcel, we could have lots of condominium buildings all within one lot but each of which could support a set of carts, and they've got a lot of space along their private drive that they could get picked up. So we've been sort of substituting as staff the word building when we think about this, to say, well, let's not have lots of units in any one building and getting a whole cluster of carts out on the street on collection day. And yet, for like at Red Tail Ridge, where the buildings are a little bit more spaced out, there are not a lot of units per building. They've got the real estate that seems perfectly reasonable. If by any other name that were not a condominium on one lot, what would it matter? But I just, before we get too carried away with this, wanted some clarification from the council, whether that's a reasonable interpretation from staff. I don't know how better to phrase that in the ordinance, so I'm not even suggesting that we try rewriting it in an ordinance, but I wanted some comfort that we're either on the wrong track or on the right track, so we can make adjustments if needed.
Alder Schaefer?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I last year had my bus route go by an apartment complex that had a unit where they'd get over 100 cans lined up on the street for about 3 or 4 houses worth of length. And they were jammed in there. The trucks would knock them over a couple times. I had to reroute and take other streets just to get the kids home.
Wow.
Because of that mess of the mud. And anything we can do to avoid that scenario, I'm in favor of.
Okay.
Alder Kalish?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track too. I think that, one of the foundational reasons that we pursue higher density living units is to consolidate services, whether it's stormwater, plumbing, heating, HVAC. And I think garbage and recycles, we should follow that same exact foundation. Higher density living can include townhouses, condos, apartments, and we constantly talk about the benefits of consolidation of services for that higher density living. And so I think that we should apply that same exact framework to garbage and recycle in my mind. So yeah, I think you're on the right track.
Okay.
Alder Crowe?
And I've got a question for you. My mom lives in a condo. She lives in Madison, and they have a private company that comes in. So there are, I don't know how many units are in her building, but it's a 3-story building and quite a number of units. So they've just got a big dumpster in the basement, one for recycle, one for that. Does the city require, the condo buildings to have their own garbage disposal? I mean, is that as though it were, a private business who would do the same if they had a big dumpster to empty? And another question is that something that Pelletieri would offer as city pickup service, that they would, is that something, instead of the individual carts, is that something that Pelletieri, for bigger buildings, they would come in and empty out dumpsters?
Right. So there are kind of 2 questions embedded in that.
Yeah.
So the first one, as I'm hearing it, is what's our sort of practical working limit? And by ordinance, it's up to 4 sets of carts per property for non-residential. So residential can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 units. And then they can have 1, 2, or 3, or 4 sets of carts. So sort of 1 set of carts per unit. And we're interpreting this per building.
Right.
So if you have a building with 7 condominium units in it, they could have up to 4 sets of carts, and they'd have to figure out how to share them, but they can't have 7 sets of carts. If there's a condominium building, a separate structure that has 4 units, well, then they could have 4 sets of carts. So if you're talking about a 3-story building, condominiumized, I don't know how many units are in there, but let's just say 30, right? It's impractical to share 4 sets of carts.
Right.
And so that's really a commercial property for all practical purposes, and they do need to get dumpster service. It's a legal requirement that they do that, but it's not something the city pays for, like any other commercial property.
Yeah.
So Pelletieri is one vendor that would offer that as a dumpster service, but there are many others.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So just to clarify, So I always need it dumbed down. Up to 4 sets is what you're working with. And then I definitely think you're on the right track with what we've been talking about. And if it has to be over 4 sets, then you have to get a commercial private contract, right?
Well, and sometimes, you know, if it's 5 units, they find a way to share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And that's fine with me. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, that's reasonable. And did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
I agree with the elders. It's very reasonable going with the word building, and especially because the condos at Red Tail Ridge are spaced out. I always think of them as little single family homes. So to call them a condo is different for me, but I'll learn. And then you're right. My mom lives in one of the tall or the 3-story condos. I'm like, who? She lives in your district.
Yeah, just to
And
clarify, I
yeah.
mean, you're treating essentially the problem where it's condominiums, not apartments, but by treating a condominium building like an apartment building,
Yeah.
you're saying it's more like a business than individually leased and owned properties. And so therefore the rules that you would apply to apartment building are the rules you would apply to a large condominium.
For a building,
Yeah, for a
right?
building, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because Conservancy condominiums over by Pheasant Branch Road has like 70 units in
Yeah,
it,
well, I think that's.
but
a good
in many little
I
buildings.
think it's a good interpretation.
Right. If those 70 units were in one building, that's just a whole different animal from a collection perspective.
And I'm really glad that the council shared their individual examples. And I say that because I'm struck by your bus story. I'm always learning with your bus driving, and it makes sense. And so that's why I'm really glad
Well,
that
there's so many
you
that the
are
people would jam them literally, so it's impossible for the trucks to get their.
to
plot, and
actually
so they knock
do
them
their
over.
job.
Yeah. Yeah. They're hard to pick up too when they're too close.
So I appreciate you guys being reasonable, and I appreciate all the comments in trying to help you have guidance. Is there anything else you need from the group?
No, I think that was it. It's real money to the city, so I didn't want to, you know, go off too far.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 2, acceptance of the city's 2023 annual comprehensive financial report.
This is an IRO. I move acceptance as recommended by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
This is Jackson, I second.
Any comments?
It's a great read.
It is a great read.
It is.
And I don't have any prepared remarks, but I wonder if there's one more picture left in the mayor to get a picture of you and Bill with the plaque. Can you tell them what's on the award you have there, the certificate?
Yeah, the city has been fortunate to have earned the highest earning for our annual comprehensive financial report for 5 years, hopefully 6 years after this one, from the Government Finance Officers Association. We also, for the first time this year, submitted our budget document and received this award from GFOA for the Distinguished Budget Presentation, which is their highest honor for a budget document.
I think that is.
Let's do this
worthy
picture.
Of a Middleton minute.
Get my budget look on. Congratulations. I don't care. All right, number 3.
I think we still,
We
did
didn't
we?
take a vote.
Yeah,
Oh.
we have to vote on it.
My
We have a
apologies. I
motion
got
and a
so
second.
excited. There's a picture. All those in favor of approving the acceptance or for accepting of the city's 2023 annual comprehensive financial report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 3, review of property tax and other impacts of a proposed corporate boundary adjustment for the community of Bishop's Bay. Is there a motion?
This is Nairo. I will move that we request a joint meeting with the Westport Town Board to discuss the Community of Bishop's Bay Master Development Plan and how both jurisdictions can work collaboratively with the developer to meet our goals for the community of Bishop's Bay.
Is there a second?
This is Alder Crow. I'll second that.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Can you help me with is the motion just to review it?
It's to
Is it
request a joint meeting with the Westport Town Board
Okay.
to discuss the Community of Bishop's Bay Master Development Plan and how both jurisdictions can work collaboratively with the developer to meet our goals for the community of Bishop's Bay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And Brian, did you need anything else from number 3, or is that fine to move forward?
No, we'll provide a kind of a scheduling update on possible dates when we make contact with town.
Excellent. Thank you. Ordinances first reading. Final action may be taken upon approval of motion to suspend rules under section 1.07. Number 1, ordinance rezoning Greenway mixed-use development at 8309 Greenway Boulevard from MUU to PUD GDP.
This is Nairo. I move to suspend the rules.
Is there a second?
It's Madden, I'll second.
Any comments? All those in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion on the ordinance rezoning?
Yes. As recommended by the Plan Commission, I move to approve the ordinance rezoning the property at 8309 Greenway Boulevard from MUU to PUD GDP.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Any comments?
Just to note that this is the final reading then of that ordinance.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the ordinance rezoning Greenway mixed-use development at 8309 Greenway Boulevard from MUU to PUD GDP, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to number 2, ordinance to rezone from A1EX to A28 and C2 Yahara Materials at 6139 County Highway K in Westport within Middleton's ETZ.
Madam Chair, before making a motion, I'd like to get a quick update from staff regarding whether the Joint Zoning Committee has met.
They met this evening at 6:30 and unanimously voted approval of the rezoning.
Okay, then I move to suspend the rules.
Schaefer second.
Any comments? All those in favor of suspending the rules so that it's a second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Any motion on the ordinance to rezone?
Yes, this is Nairo. I move approval of the ordinance to rezone from A1EX to A28 and C2 Yahara Materials 6139 County Highway K in Westport within Middleton's ETZ.
Is there a second?
This is Alder Crow. I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, and this is a second, the equivalent of a second reading. All those in favor of approving the ordinance to rezone from A1EX to A28 and C2 Yahara Materials 6139 County Highway K, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to resolutions, Resolution 2024-25, amending the 2024 budget and assigned fund balance for public safety retention incentives and police chief recruitment services.
This is Nairo. I move approval as recommended by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thorman, second.
Any comments? Alder Crow?
I had a question on the resolution, the chart at the bottom, where it has the current budget and adjustment and revised budget, for the EMS retirement and the EMS FICA. Are the current budget and the adjustments, are those supposed to be added together to get the revised budget?
Yes, they are. Thanks for pointing that out. There's just an error with those not totaling in the revised budget column, so we'll need to make that correction before it's signed.
Okay.
Thank you.
I had noticed that. I was confused.
I'm so proud. I can't believe I missed that. Great job. All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2024-25, amending the 2024 budget and assigned fund balance for public safety retention incentives and police chief recruitment services, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 2, Resolution 2024-26, amending the 2024 approved general fund budget and reallocating assigned fund balances for transit and the community campus plan.
I move approval as recommended by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thorman will second.
Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2024-26, amending the 2024 approved general fund budget and reallocating assigned fund balances for transit and the community campus plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is the discussion, any updates on committees, commissions, and boards by council members? Any updates? I've already learned so much about bus driving, better language we can use in the future for negotiating. You're amazing children. I'm like, I'm on fire tonight learning about people. Okay, any committees? Nope, we're good. In that case, we are adjourned. Also, Randall is a great budgeter.